8. Count them. 8 green, or in my case, blue days in a row. There's an absolute disbelief right now. So how exactly did this happen when until very recently the sentiment was, and I quote, last week, extreme fear. I don't know why I find that so funny. But today I'm going to discuss one of the biggest, the golden rule you could say, when it comes to doing anything with Bitcoin, and will give you a huge edge over others when used. And honestly, it isn't even that difficult to follow. I call it contrarianism. Actually, a ton of content that I produce is centered around this idea. Let me explain. What we are looking at here is the amount of traders that got liquidated on their Bitcoin shorts. Around $220 million they lost. So very sad. That money is, of course, used to rebuy Bitcoin and cover their losses, which is why we saw such explosive upward price action of volatility, aka a short squeeze. Somewhat similar to the situation we saw happen with GameStop. But to better see this in action using data from bybt.com about Bitcoin funding rates, we can see here in red, the majority of people are shorting Bitcoin, expecting it to go lower, and inevitably, the Bitcoin price shoots upwards, touching 40K for the first time in a long time. Ironic? Kind of, but also not. This thing happens almost every time without question. People should know the rules to this game by now. You know the rules, and so do I. Just look at almost any deep red line and look for the accompanying price climb for Bitcoin. Contrarianism in action. As to why it happens, suffice it to say that whales and exchanges can profit over these situations, buying or selling Bitcoin contrarian to what the masses are doing. That's why it's so commonplace. So what is public opinion now so we can do the exact opposite of it? I hear you say. It's not always so easy to say. In fact, right now, people are pretty much confused. Traders' opinion, at least, has shifted back to neutral, or in other words, everyone's confused as hell and your guess is as good as anyone else's. But a theory I've seen getting tossed about recently is a similarity of Bitcoin's current price to that what happened. That makes sense, in 2013. Is this a good, genuine insight into the short to mid-term future of Bitcoin, or is it a poor attempt at extracting some high-grade copium?
Yeah. Oh yeah, work it, baby, work it.
On the face of it, yes, there are some similarities between the two, and the midway through the cycle narrative would fit very neatly here, but it's only when you put it within the context of these logarithmic curved lines that the theory really does start to make you question your own sexuality. Wait, what? These historical indicators are only validated after the fact, but considering that the model isn't broken, you could definitely say it's still in play.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So, assuming there is no need to fix these lines, there is another leg up for Bitcoin this year. We are currently midway through the cycle and is very similar to what happened in 2013. After a huge rally, things inevitably need to cool down. But in addition, the RSI is looking very positive, recently breaking a 7-month downtrend on the daily. And last but certainly not least, by analyst definition, we have currently reclaimed the bull market. The 200-day EMA has been reclaimed. Why 200 days? I don't know. It's just a saying. Below bad, above good. So this market prediction, among many others, would see Bitcoin go north of 6 figures sometime this year. So my own conclusion from this, quite obviously, is I like that. That sounds good to me. Of course. Who would have guessed I'd like that? Bitcoin, by the looks of things at least, is meant to do well for the rest of the year. Of course, I like that theory, but removing my own personal biases here, the most important thing for me objectively is to not be bullish when everyone else is bullish and scared when everyone else is scared. And objectively, I think that this theory has just enough question marks regarding it that the masses won't suddenly mass pile long on Bitcoin, which would inevitably crash the price. A couple of trend lines confirms a trend, not a law. So bullishness should, I think, return, especially if we can maintain or stay close to the 40K mark, but not to go back to fever pitch, at least right away, fingers crossed. And if people do get scared again, well, that comes with its own benefits. It's so masochistic. I want you to feel terrible about Bitcoin, and that's good. I don't know, but that's essentially the way it is. Not you specifically. You're a viewer. I like you. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. I always appreciate it. Appreciate it if you leave a like. If you enjoyed, consider following me on Twitter. I actually do post daily update over there. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one.